Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom, where we discuss everything about truth, money, and freedom with your hosts, Timmy Chonga and Dell, coming to you from our Discord server, also named Truth, Money, and Freedom. An invite to our Discord platform is linked below in the description for anyone who wants to join in on the conversation. Today, on Election Day, November 6, 2018, we welcome YouTuber Erin Moffet, who is a mom, precious metal stacker, physical fitness, and healthcare professional. We are honored to be the first platform to interview Erin. Before we bring our guest in, I'd like to bring Dell, my co-host, in. Good evening, Dell.
Good evening, TC. I thought it might be nice to start off today with some hellos, some welcomes, some thank yous. We've got a few to do here, so bear with me. But first of all, many thanks to Erin Moffet for joining us, of course. She'll be with us real soon. She has a YouTube channel. It will all be linked up in the description below if you're on YouTube. And for those that's here with us live, there's a link in the chat. I encourage you all to get over there, check out some videos, throw her a subscription, and help move her channel forward. The other people I'd like to thank is all the people that's come and joined us live. It's very nice to see a good crew here tonight. And I'd like to remind you all that if you have questions or comments, drop them in the Discord chat here. Me or TC will pick them up and we'll bring them into the conversation. And then third of all, if you've happened to crash into this video on YouTube, then hello to you too. And you may have missed the live conversation here, but you haven't missed the conversation completely, because you can drop into our Discord channel 24 hours a day, and there'll be a lively crew there, ready to discuss all the things that we chat about today and other things too. So go ahead and hop into our Discord channel. If you are not familiar with Discord, then let somebody know, and we'll guide you around it and get you up and talking and part of the conversation. So without further ado, let's bring in Erin Moffet. Hello there, Erin. Would you care to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to on your YouTube channel?
All right. Saying thank you is an understatement when people recognize you, but those are the words we know to use, so I'm grateful. Thank you for finding me. On my YouTube channel, I say the same thing often, but I'm a previously irresponsible hot mess mom, and I'm not kidding. I had no ability to just put my life in order, and I really didn't even know I should. And I started becoming educated in real money, which is gold and silver, a year and a half ago, which has led me to becoming more self-sufficient. Therefore, I become less irresponsible and much more organized in a lot of ways. I'm a widow going on 5 years. I'm a single mother of two, I like to say, fearfully and wonderfully made girls. When I started the YouTube account a few months ago, I wanted to bring information that I was learning to others, because as you know, when you try to bring information to people, sometimes it's, they don't want to hear it. They're not listening. So I kind of wanted to have a platform where I could speak out, and hopefully those that had ears to hear would come and hear. And so I learned a lot doing this. I'm one of those, like, fake till you make it type of people. I just jump into things, and I know you're going to see a big change from the very first YouTube to now, where I was using a phone and headphones back then. I finally have a little bit better setup. But as I was learning more, I didn't want others to not have that kind of information or access to that information, because it can be very hard to come by with the current state of the world. I would say America, but the world even. My hope is to bring people to want to buy gold and silver, especially through my business, because it is a network marketing business. But really, it became more about trying to educate those, like I said, who would have ears to hear. I can attribute much of my initial education and what we've called red pilling to this business of 7K Metals and the owner's willingness to care enough about us to teach us the truth about money. And it kickstarted my discovery of much more than truth of money. I began to learn about government control overall.
Okay, thank you for that, Erin. I'll tell you what, since it is election night special, Would you mind if we open with your take on the U.S. elections, what's going on right now? Basically, we know that the Democrats and the Republicans, of course, are fighting for a bunch of seats in the House and then the Senate. The early projections, basically are saying the Dems are going to take, basically the majority. But as far as the two-party system goes, what's your take on that?
Since I turned 18, and I'll tell you, I'm 39 now. I'll be 40 in December. When I turned 18 and I had the legal right to vote, I always voted Republican. That's just, I grew up with right-wing parents, and that's how I felt, and I trusted the people I voted for. I stopped voting 10 years ago until today. Today's the first day I voted in 10 years because I kind of got, I was in school for PA school and things like that, and it just got, distracted by other things. But in 2015, I was kind of working on myself and straightening up my life because, like I said, my husband passed away in 2013. I was dating a guy who was and I'm going to get to the point of what you asked. I was dating a guy who was an E9 retired communications officer for the Navy, and he told me that Bush took our own towers out, and I had good reason to believe him. Where I've heard that before, but I had no reason to believe it before, and that was probably one of the worst days of my life because I realized I couldn't trust the people I thought I could. And I understand a lot of people have known that for a long time, that was the first day I realized it. And so I gave up. I gave up on it. I didn't want to know anything about it. I didn't have any indication, honestly, until 3 months ago, who even the vice president was right now this year. So I am very new to coming back into politics, but I am a very deep digger. And I just, once I started digging on some things, I began digging fast and furiously, haha, other information. And while I don't have a lot of specifics, I've got a very good general amount of information. And I did fall onto Q. And Q is something I do follow. I do believe I have a healthy, I do have a healthy sense of I can't trust this yet because I watched, somebody I trusted, Bush, now becoming very evil in my eyes. So it's something I follow. So the bipartisanship, I literally believe, is created to keep us kind of weak. I think, they're both got their plans, but when it really comes down to it, there's good Republicans, there's probably great Democrats too, because not everybody's embedded, and it's becoming that globalism problem, the elite problem. That's where, so we've got these people that their agenda is literally to, serve themselves, create money for themselves, and have power. It's money and power and pure evil, if you ask me. And so when you can't understand how a person could take, thousands of lives without care, you have to remember they're evil and be glad you don't understand that. So it's turned into now, I think, an elite kind of war, and we've got other countries involved in it. I definitely hope for a red wave because I do think Trump is not evil. I do not think he's evil. So where I'm standing and with my opinion and knowledge on the elections, I voted Republican today, first time in 10 years. I've stopped giving up, and I want to know what's going on in the world so that I can make it better for us. Ultimately, I want to get off the grid, but we'll see how it goes.
Yep, understood. And in fact, I've said for many, many years, my favorite soap opera is C-SPAN. It feels like theater to me, so I kind of have the same feeling about it as you do. I mean, it's just my personal take, but that is interesting. Basically with what you said about Bush and not trusting Bush, and I think that there's a disconnect. I think for Republicans. Where basically if it's Republican, if they do it, then it's okay. And on the Democrat side, if a Democrat does it, then it's okay. But if the other side does it, then it's not okay anymore. So, I mean, that's how simple the system has gotten at this point. But thank you for your thoughts on that. And I know it's election night and we haven't gotten any firm results in yet, and we'll bring in some in just a little bit. But if you don't mind, I'd like to actually move into health and fitness, but in a weird way. I'd like to start with Obamacare, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I know that you're a healthcare professional, so you probably have some really good, really good insights into Obamacare from your, your career, your point of view. Would you mind sharing some of those with us?
Not at all. What I worried about and whether it really happened or not was a concern for the socialism of medicine. Because, like I said, I didn't give up until 2015. I was still kind of involved. And what I worried about was we were going to see a situation that I'd heard about even while in school, that you would get, everybody wants things for free and they want it to be easy, but who's paying for it, right? So you think about the taxes going up because of that. And then you realize that free healthcare, when you pay your healthcare, when you want your healthcare, like a lot of people don't like how much money doctors make, as if they'll ever get that amount of schooling and training, right? But when you realize how much schooling and training it is, I think a doctor has every right to make a lot of money in the right way. So most doctors want to do things the right way. They do want to help people, PAs and nurse practitioners and what have you. What you'll find is if you're going to cut their wages and you're going to say, okay, everybody's going to make the same amount no matter how many patients you see in a day, someone like me is going to go, why am I going to see, and I saw as many one time as 59 patients in one day. Why would I do that ever if I'm going to get paid the same as if I saw 5? And that's where I saw it going. Now we can see it would have, like I said, increased taxes. You had certain people that loved it because they were getting free healthcare more easily. Then you
Hmm.
had people like my sister who has a type 1 diabetic child, and that risk created a $450 a month insurance payment just for that one kid because they were in a bracket that it wasn't going to help. And then you saw people that weren't going to get insured and they'd rather pay the fee. You saw people losing their insurance through their jobs. So you know, um, we've talked a little bit with each other about some of the things I hadn't thought about on the agenda that I now understand, like euthanasia. I always knew they were pro-abortion. I'm 100% against abortion, always have been. But now, from a standpoint of, I've believed and learned that it's originally a satanic ritual.
Hmm.
You've got, yeah. So anyway, I'm not going to continue on that track yet, but Obamacare was costly to the people, even though they thought they were getting a good deal. It's like the middle bracket really suffered for it. And I watched my sister really, her child, suffered for it.
Yeah, it seemed like Obamacare was really more. This is the way it felt to me. I didn't read the whole thing. I did read parts of it though, and it really seemed like it was more of an agenda than it was healthcare. The language in it is incredible. I mean, basically, I don't know if you know this, but I think it was written by insurance companies almost completely.
Hmm.
Insurance companies wrote the actual law for Obamacare. And that makes sense to me now because insurance companies' gross profits have gone up over 100% since Obamacare was passed. And everyone wonders why the premiums went up. Now, okay, we talked about the financial aspect of it, and you touched briefly on the service aspect of it. Can I ask you to extrapolate on that just a little bit? Do you feel that Obamacare, maybe there's a glimmer of hope in it, that maybe there's going to be better service, or do you think the service will
No,
probably go down?
service does not improve when you don't have to pay for it, right? The less you pay, it doesn't get better. So no, it's not. Like I said, if it turned into any kind of socialized medicine and whatsoever, we're not going to work as hard as practitioners. I don't ever want to see 59 patients in a day ever again. In fact, that was a dangerous day, if you ask me, to see that many patients. But that was the load that was put on me that day. And I don't refuse people, and I can bill for every one of those patients and all the time I did spend with them. If I can't bill for that and I can only, I'm going to get paid the same amount that day, I'm not going to see everybody. And guess what that starts doing? That starts a 3-month waiting list for procedures that should be done in a day.
Just like Canada. So I hear anyway. So you have access to a lot of healthcare, professionals and practitioners. Basically, I'm sure that you guys have talked amongst yourself about this with Obamacare. What are doctors saying about it that you know?
Similar stuff. It really
Mhm.
similar stuff. It wasn't even an issue of whether you were Republican or Democrat at this point. We
Right.
all saw it the same way. We didn't like it. We didn't look forward to it. And physicians can bill for even more. Just as I'm what's called a physician assistant, a physician can bill for more just because they're a physician. If you get to see the physician, they can bill for more than I can bill for because they just have an extra "I'm a doctor" code, which is makes sense. That's why we have this kind of hierarchy of healthcare professionals that we have. I don't make as much as they do. I don't bill as much. So you're seeing the same thing because they're like, these physicians are realizing this is exactly what we've seen when some of them have trained overseas. Some of them have helped train physicians overseas. And they come back and they'll tell you these people are taking tea time in the middle of procedures because they're not getting paid anymore to get these patients through than if
Oh
they
my
just
God.
do a few at a time.
Like in
Yeah.
the middle of a surgery or something, they take
Right.
it.
For instance, when I was training in college, I was still pre-medicine at that point. We had a doctor of osteopathy, which is a DO, still a physician. He came and spoke to us and said, we went over to Australia to show them the procedure for removing a gallbladder. It's a very, very quick procedure. It takes less time to do the procedure than to scrub in. And so you've got these people on the 3-month waiting list. You can get them done in a week with this procedure. But the doctors are scrubbing out, and the doctors from Australia and our American doctors, physicians, are saying, "What's going on? Where are you guys going?" "Well, it's tea time." "Why? What? Why?" "Well, you know, we're not going to do all this all day." They're used to their tea time. They didn't even really have to explain it like that. They're just used to doing that because there's no need to push patients through. There's no incentive to do this procedure faster because you're not going to earn any more money for it.
Yep. And the price of healthcare skyrockets. I know since Obamacare was implemented, my healthcare insurance has more than doubled since 2012. It's getting real close to 140% of what it was in 2012. And the copays have gone up at the same time. And I don't see any better service for it, just me personally as a person.
No, you could compare it to Obama's installation of our core curriculum at schools. If it's not better if it's cheaper. It's
Mm.
not better if it's cheaper. We aren't going to work harder for cheaper results. Like why would I do that? You wouldn't do that. Why would you say, that's why people don't like communism, because we don't want to earn all the money for you to come just take some from me.
Mm.
I want to earn my money. I want to keep my money. And if I choose to give it out, then I should be able, you know what I'm saying.
Mm. Okay, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. Being in the healthcare profession and in physical fitness, I'm going to ask you kind of a strange question. Why do you think Americans are overweight?
Well, I mean, this is almost a philosophical question in a way, because I'm not coming from as far as looking into the fitness and stuff, I haven't dug into other people's opinions on it. So this is purely my own.
That's
But
understood, and that's fine. That's fine.
right, people want things to be easy, and we're kind of led to think we should want that. We're kind of, hey, why should you have to work so hard? Go ahead and sit back and get, government money because you're not out of work and you've got 6 kids or whatever. And we've gotten in this process of, hey, let's do this the easy way. Let's find a pill to help you with that. Or the other thing is medications like antidepressants. In the beginning, they were causing tons of weight gain and lethargy, lots of lethargy. And you're seeing that people want a quick fix, but by taking the fix, now they're doing less of anything else. They're thinking less, they're planning less, they're exercising less. And you have to instill a motivation. I talk to people all the time. They're like, "How do you do it?" "Oh, remind me, I'll come with you." I'm not going to do that because I know how hard it is I can't make a person want to get to the gym and be as motivated as I am. It's just something that you have to find a motivation for. And we're kind of, I believe, we're taught to give up. We're taught to be like, "Well, that didn't work within a week. So it happens all the time in my business. I didn't get rich within a month, so I'm not going to do it." Who taught
Mm.
you that this was supposed to be easy? This is hard work.
Yeah, nothing worthwhile is ever easy. I agree with you on that. Um, and then basically going along with physical fitness, I'd like to actually ask for your aspect on this: the physical and psychological benefits of physical fitness. And, we're talking about like a 20-minute routine a day. If you could tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there's something to be said for structure coming from one of the most unstructured people you guys will ever meet. When you are unstructured, you are all over, you blow in the wind. And so creating some time in your day to do the same thing most days, if not all of the week, is going to create positive habits. And when you start creating positive habits, you start to see a positive outcome, whether you intend to or not. It's going to help your self-esteem when you go, oh, wow, I did that. I created that muscle I didn't know was ever there. And, that happened to me. I started doing insanity and I was like, oh my gosh, obliques are really a thing. I never knew. So I saw them on everybody else, but I never had them, and so it can start as simple as that. Just do something every day because this is creating your structured life. And you might say, I do the same things every day, but do you consider those things that give you a positive outlook on life, or are they the things that you find boring? And oh gosh, I got to take the kid to school every day, or I go to work every day. This is your time where you can build yourself up literally and figuratively. So there's pride, and I'm not talking the bad pride. There's pride in hard work putting in to stay fit. It's going to make your self-esteem better. And I physically can do more with my kids. Now you're saying no brainer, but I don't have back problems and stuff like that. So we're not talking, oh, I couldn't do, those people, oh, I couldn't even walk to my kids to the park anymore. I can do all that. What's really exciting is, like, let's say they're on my lap or doing something goofy and they're going to fall. When I catch them, I don't injure my back, or I can lift them up and do more fun things that's exciting to them because I'm physically stronger. And teaching them, here's the great thing: if you have kids or friends and they want to listen, or you can actually have an ability to affect them, when you can give that to somebody else and watch them either change for the better or just be awesome because that's how they started as kids, because you taught them that all their life. That's fantastic, because it'll always be a habit for my kids. It will never be something they didn't understand. They'll always understand money and fitness and some of these other things we're learning.
Okay. What would you say to someone who's having a really hard time getting into that routine?
Well, like I just said, if you could just, there's a YouTube, my God, YouTube has videos for just walking. There's a woman, I don't remember her name, but I can find it and drop it at some point, because I do follow her on YouTube. Just a fantastic, simple walking routine where in like 15 minutes she covers a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And you could be like, wow, I just covered a mile. That's something significant. When you just put on a video, you're not really sure what you're doing. You don't know how many calories you're burning. This woman's saying, hey, if you do this with me for 30 minutes, we do 2.5 miles today. 2.5. How's that sound? And you're in one place in your house and you can do that. But just creating something that you can structure yourself on, because if it was just up to me, I couldn't just create a workout routine. I don't do that. I'm not a creator. I'm good with taking things that are created and manipulating it for myself, but I'm not good at creating like a routine out of. So I go to things like Instagram to follow fitness people on Instagram. YouTube, like I said, has everything's on YouTube. You can find workout stuff that's 15 minutes. It's better than nothing. And once you create the habit and you start getting more fit, the motivation comes by itself because your body changes and your mood changes.
Yep. And I imagine the psychological benefits are really great, once you start getting results from, that week, 2-3 weeks that you've actually put in hard work as well.
And I would say, it's so hard to explain this to people, but Instagram is one of the worst for this. Do not compare yourself to anybody else, ever.
Yeah, Hollywood starlets, that sort of thing.
Anybody. I don't, even if it's
I know.
Anybody.
It's an epidemic, isn't it?
Because once you're comparing yourself to a standard like that, how are you, if you're not going to reach it, then you're just going to feel bad about yourself. That's called condemnation. I'd rather have conviction and say, if I want that body, I better put in the work, or forget looking at that body and being envious of it. Forget it. I just don't need to be. Yeah. Just the comparisons, and those people, If you're familiar with it and ever modeling for photography, the most awkward, uncomfortable, sweat-producing position is going to look the best on a picture. And so these people know that when they're taking their quote-unquote selfies, and everybody jokes about it, but they're creating a kind of an illusion because they're posing for a camera photo, and you can't just, you walk around, nobody looks like that walking around. Nobody's gut is like sucked in. Most of these people that are like, look at my before and after, all they're doing is flexing and sucking it in. Just remember that, and don't worry about them. Just do you, create your own personal results thing, what you want to accomplish, and stick to it. Make a calendar. I don't know. There's numerous ways.
Hey, before we move on to the next topic, I'm going to bring up a comment in the chat conjecture that he knew people that were facing a 300% increase. And that's in their health care, I'm assuming, once Obamacare kicked in. Is that correct, conjecture? Pretty sure that's what he was talking about. Sorry I missed that when you were typing it in. It was probably during the Obamacare part. But that's pretty crazy. I mean, and who's making money? The hospitals and the insurance companies. It's not the doctors. In years since it was enacted until now. That's what I thought. Okay, thank you for that conjecture. Okay, I'd like to move to another topic, if you don't mind, Erin, which is education. The state of the education system in the United States, basically has changed over the years. I can remember back when I was in second grade, there was something called the Weekly Reader. And they bragged in there because with standardized testing all over the world, America was #1 in science and #2 in the world in math, second only to Japan. Now they don't even publish the numbers anymore. The last time I saw them, I think America was, I believe it was 78 in science, and I don't recall the number on math, but it might have been actually under 100. But I was curious about what you thought about education in the United States.
There is a core curriculum that was put into place, and I mentioned that a little bit earlier. I think part of it has to do with, we don't want to give out first place. We're going to hurt somebody's feelings. And it's deeper than what people think. It's not just roll your eyes annoying. They do this on purpose because if we're all the same, we're more easily controlled. And so what they've got to do is they put in a core curriculum that's literally dumbing down the intelligent. And it's not bringing up kids mentally. It's not pushing them. There's no competition. You're also seeing a desire on their part to instill in the public schools, and maybe even private, but less so because we see that they want us all in public schools, to get the kids to rebel from their parents. I've seen people saying, this school is going to ask kids to turn in their parents' firearms. They're creating narratives for children to get their parents triggered into helping whatever cause too. They'll send something home, give this to your mom and dad, and it will have, they obviously psychological wording that's going to trigger you into being mad. And I've got to help this cause. And while it might seem like going too far for some people, I'm going to say this. It could, if anyone is familiar with, I think it's Ella Draper is her name. And this is a woman from Great Britain, or, where exactly she's from. I know she's British, but anyway, like 2014 or so, she found out her own children were being involved in satanic rituals at their school.
Yes, I've heard about that too, actually.
Right. And this is something that's documented. There's plenty of information about that. But what I would say is that what they wanted for us? I think so. They get us into a position where we're finding more and more that the elite are connected in this pedophile ring and the Pizzagate and the pedogate. And initially I'm thinking, why is there so much pedophilia? Because I didn't really want to think that satanic rituals were really something they would be doing, and who would want to. But the more I looked into it, it didn't make sense. And when I looked at that school hiding under the guise of a Christian title, you could say, who would do that? Why would they want to do that? You and I can't understand because we're not evil, but there is an agenda of evil people. And if they can dumb us down enough, and those of us that are dissenters can just go off to internment camps for all they care, they can create whatever kind of atmosphere they want, even if it's satanic rituals and killing babies in a school.
Yeah, in fact, I've heard about this too, that that there's some schools, and I can't even remember what state I read this article on, where they actually have, a Satan club, much like, some schools would have a chess club. That I'm not kidding. I wish I could bring up that article right now, but if you guys let, I'm sure you can find it, where they actually have Satan prayer time or whatever in this club or whatever.
Well, we already know that's been going on in colleges and universities for years because we've got
Yep,
lots and lots of secret societies.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's just a disturbing indictment of the actual education states. There was supposed to be this big thing, Aaron, the separation between church and state. We know that that's not exactly what it is. It was a letter from Thomas Jefferson to a citizen at the time, basically saying that it's a one-way door. That basically religion, basically could go into government, but government couldn't force religion on the people, and that's what it was about. But at the same time, government kind of did take religion out of the schools, didn't they? And they certainly had a hand in it.
And now it's going so far as you can't even, come to school with an American flag or any kind of thing on your shirt like that. And I remember when I was younger, the things that you couldn't have on your shirt make sense. Like they were it was not something I'd want my kid to have a shirt of anyway. But now it's like if you're even waving the flag, and I will, in the defense of many teachers, it's not, once again, just like physicians and PAs and all this stuff, we don't all have this agenda. We weren't taught in school, do this stuff because we want to take away the rights of the students. Some teachers just, they literally don't know what to do. And so they tell the kid they can't do it. And now it's becoming, ingrained enough where they're going to know what they can and can't do. Like you said, they're going to allow a satanic group in a young age where they've been allowing it in universities forever. But they're not, a lot of teachers just don't know how to handle it. And thank God we still have people that will come in and step in and handle that for the teacher so that they do know what's legal and what is not legal. And there's groups that you can get a hold of for that kind of situation. If you ever had your own child have an issue at their school, there are legal teams that will do this for free. However, they can get run out eventually because Jesus and God is being run out of the country. We can't speak about it. We're, hammered down for believing in it, but God bless every other religion, including
Yeah,
Satanism.
yeah. Well, there. I wouldn't go that far myself personally, but I would say that definitely shoving God out of the courtrooms, shoving God out of the classrooms, leave your flag and your Bible at the door to go into a public building is very disturbing to me personally. But that's the way of things today, isn't it?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, Erin, I'll tell you what. I'm going to ask you a little bit about your business, your 7K business. Now, I know a little bit about it because I've been watching your YouTube channel. Would you mind telling our audience a little more about what you do with gold and silver?
So what I do is most people believe that I buy gold and silver in order to sell it. And I rarely sell my own stack. I buy it and I stack it. And now my dad is doing this with me. And the point is to educate other people. It's about sharing what we've learned with gold and silver to other people so that they can get into it as well. It is a network marketing company, which unfortunately creates a negative thought in everybody's mind. And I understand why. I've done other network marketing companies, but this one, I just tell people they buy my gold and silver for me because I earn at least $500 extra a month just from
Wow.
sharing. Yeah, just from sharing my information. And so when I have a company that's now paid me $6,000 in a year and a half, I can tell you they paid some of my bills too. So not only did they buy my gold and silver, they paid some of my bills. And so we have people who don't want to get involved with the network marketing aspect, and we encourage them not to. Just if that's not something you're interested, you got to get in where you fit in. So they're just buyers, and we sell at cost. And what that means is most retailers, it starts at the mint, then it goes to like the wholesaler and the broker and the retailer, and then finally the customer. And we get it at the price after the mint, and it stops right there. So it takes out the middleman. And what is that amount difference? Well, it depends. I've seen as much as 60% less, from the things that I buy. When like I can buy generic rounds and it's a round that's selling for $35, I paid $15 for. But you can't always show that just from the back office stuff. You can show that pretty well because you'll see that we have gold bars that are only $3 over spot.
Wow.
$3 over spot. And then I'll see a guy get, I got into some trouble. When I say trouble, not really, but you know, I anger people a little bit sometimes, but I took a guy's advertisement on his Instagram and he's saying $25 over spot if you buy this many ounces. And I'm like, hey, why bother with this guy? We're $3 over spot for 1 ounce. You know, so it's some of these price differences are huge, to the point that it really angered that guy that I told people that. It is a membership though, just like Costco, Walmart, or not Walmart, sorry, Sam's Club. You know, you get to have a membership with an education for in case you
Okay.
don't know stuff. The owners themselves will teach you, and then you get to have knowledge you didn't have, or maybe you go and you can see. So it's an annual membership for if you want to make money. I've made it back tenfold or 100-fold maybe, and then you also can just be a buyer and you pay annually just like Costco and you get wholesale prices.
That's wonderful. In fact, I know you've got some attention here for that $3 over spot for gold. Before we explore that a little more deeply, can I ask what silver and gold mean to you?
This is protection for me. We have lots of different buyers that want to accumulate wealth, protect wealth, diversify a portfolio. Maybe they're a collector. Maybe they want to hedge against government. I would say we could all easily fall into all of those categories, but we're going to lean more to one. And to me, it's protection, mostly protection, because I see a world where if I don't learn how to take care of us in the ways that will help us if there's ever a major crash and the dollar goes, or worse, you know, I want to know how to grow a garden and hunt animals and be able to purify my water. That sounds like a prepper, but you know, people think prepper and they think bunkers. I'm not building a bunker. I'm not stowing canned food. What I am saying is I want to be able to survive well if I have to get kicked out of this house. You know, I'm in a house. Well, what happens if the house goes? Maybe not everybody loses their home, but if I lose mine, am I going to be able to go find a way to live? And that's what it is for me. This is the very, very best first thing a person can do to become self-sustaining.
I'm sure you're familiar about the price manipulations, particularly on silver. Gold isn't hit anywhere near as hard as silver, but the price manipulations, does that worry you at all?
Well, I don't worry about much of anything because that's a waste of time. But what I do is I think about it and I say, okay, so we've got 1913 prices basically for silver right now. I mean, if you
actually technically below if you include inflation. Conjecture, one of our members actually did some numbers on that for us, but I'm sorry, Erin, go ahead.
Right, and I'm always fine with you agreeing with me, so that's fantastic. Makes me feel good. So, you know, we've got these prices on silver, and what we've got is a ratio of 80, which means I could take in my ounce of gold if I had one and get 80 pieces of silver. That's great, right? Because there are times when it's 30 and you take in your ounce of gold and you get 30 pieces. Well, why is that? You could say it's JP Morgan that's manipulating it because look how much they bought between 2012 and 15 or whatever. Well, in my opinion, what JP Morgan is doing is preparing for the crash because they want to have control of the market when the dollar goes. Well, how do you control the market if there's no dollars or currency? Well, with money, right? And so silver at the price that it is, it's why not stock up on your silver? Because if I had gold, I'd probably I do have gold, but if I had a lot of gold, this would be the time to trade it in because you're looking at a ratio of 80 when it's been as low as 30. You know, that means for 1 ounce of gold, I can get 80 pieces of silver, whereas there's been times where for 1 ounce of gold, I can get 30. I don't know why it's being manipulated. I hope it stays that way for a long time because I want to buy at the 1913 prices for as long as the dollar exists. I don't want it to jump up yet.
Yep. And, you know, basically with CPI, inflation, basically it's an excellent hedge for inflation, gold, silver, even though silver is manipulated just beyond belief. Gold isn't hit quite as hard, and I suspect that's because many, many, many wealthy people have a lot of it. And so they don't hit it quite as hard, so they don't hurt their feelings maybe. But yep, that's a good way of putting it. And as we continue talking to Erin, if any of you in the live audience have any questions, go ahead and type them in. I know Conjecture wanted you to extrapolate on that $3 over spot for gold. Is that for a full ounce of gold, Erin, or is that like a gram? Or um,
No, that was $3 over spot price for gold. And I put it up on Instagram, which I may have archived or I may have deleted entirely because I do weird stuff with my social media that brings different attention if something's not getting much attention. Or for that matter, that guy was so mad I took it down. I was like, look, you need to relax. But I took it down. That day, I don't know about today, right? Because I'm not looking at gold right now. That day that I compared our gold, I took a picture of my price with my gold next to his price with his gold. And I'm like, why would you do this? Why would you spend $50, $25 over a spot per ounce when you can do 3 with us? I'm telling you, I've seen up to 60% price differences. You got to go through the check, you got to check out and all that stuff, but there's just like your 401k, there's hidden fees, right? So you want to come out like with the best deal, and you could say, people want to do math. Now I'm going to tell you, people think they're math geniuses, and it drives me crazy. They're saying, I'd have to buy 4,000 ounces of silver before I would make up that $250 a year membership. And I'm like, whoa, like that's not the right math. But the math that you can't do is what I've saved in the aftermath. Like I said, I bought $15 round that I can sell for $35. I have a round I paid maybe $20 for, I can sell for $70. So when I have an Excel sheet I start to put together. I'm like, okay, the fact that I can get these kind of prices and you can't find it anywhere else up to 50%, 60% discount, it pays for itself pretty quickly if you're actually stacking. If you're buying one coin a year for your wife on Christmas or whatever it is, your cousin Joe, no, it's not worth $250 a year. It's worth it if you're in a stacker, especially because generic rounds, generic bars are the lowest price next to junk silver that you're going to get.
mm-hmm. Yep. And generic rounds are, of course, the lowest spot price usually. And, I'm curious with your company, do you guys do generic rounds? Do you guys stick with, like, for instance, the Maple Leafs and the Silver Eagles, or how do you guys do that?
We have generic rounds, and that sometimes will come as a coin. I ended up with a 2014 Somalia elephant coin when I ordered generic rounds. The cool thing is it's a small enough company. I call up corporate and I say, how many more of those do you got at the generic price? I'm buying the rest of them, right? So I bought the rest of those. I bought the rest of the, we had I think the Black Horsemen of the Apocalypse, all for like $15. We're talking coins or rounds that other people would pay a lot more for. And one was a coin. And that's just because the company got it at that price. Whatever they get, they move to us. So you don't know when you order generic rounds what you're going to get, but once in a while you'll find that. But yes, we'll still have the Maple Leaf. We'll still have the Walking Liberty Silver Eagle. We're going to have all the popular stuff. There's also what they call specialty items. So you'll have your at cost gold, you have your at cost silver, and then you'll have some specialty items like the Queen's Beast Unicorn. Already sold out. I think. So glad I got one of those. It's a 2 ounce. You got your Uncle Sam. You've got your Trump. You've got Superman. A silver flag bar, because that's not going to be a generic bar. We have the Silver Devils Brigade, which is the Canadian and U.S. Special Forces coin. And that, they always got the koalas. You always got the other animals, the Britannia, the panda. And then we've got numismatic coins. But I'll tell you, numismatic coins aren't going to be at cost. We do sell some things at a profit, and that's just the way it is. So numismatic, MS70s, and some 69s and things like that marked up a little bit. But it's kind of like I tell people, I buy my milk for $1 more at this grocery store I go to because everything else is so significantly cheaper that I will still buy my milk from that same store rather than go to another store to pay less for my milk. This is the same thing. I'll pay more for my numismatic from my own company than to go somewhere else to buy it just because it's less.
Conjecture writes in the chat here. Actually, there's several comments to get to, guys. Thank you for your comments. I'll get to you. Conjecture writes, over the past few months, the over spot price of silver has been 29, then to 39, then to 49, and recently 59. So the premiums are growing, and Erin's talking about lower premiums than that. Are you not, Erin? 59 cents, below 59 cents?
looking
for
today
silver?
when the market closed, the generic round was at $15.02. Let me refresh this because it's weird when the way it refreshes sometimes. I want to make sure it's correct. So I see silver closing today at $14.59, and we were at 15.01 for generic
Okay,
rounds.
gotcha. So basically, roughly 50 cents over spot.
We've been as low as 10 cents, and I
Okay.
bought more silver rounds at that point. I haven't seen it this much more, and I couldn't explain it without asking somebody why is that happening.
So even at your worst, you're very competitive with there.
Well, if I went and compared to other people, the only place I used to do this every day. We beat
Hmm.
the price every day.
Okay,
Unless you
gotcha.
want to talk eBay, and that's worthless to me because I don't even know if I'm getting silver from eBay. So I tell people, if you want to buy from eBay, by all means. And, unless it's a dealer, I don't know what I'm getting and I don't trust it. So it's not even an argument. I don't bother. However, if I'm going to go to JM Bullion, I have a spreadsheet on this and I can share the small amount I've done with it. I will admit there's some things I'm a little lazy about, and I know it would be good for me to be better with this, but I started an Excel spreadsheet, and it was a really nice guy that was doing one himself, and he told me, oh, I'll send it to you. It's already set up, and I can compare my prices. And so, like, for instance, I can go to JM Bullion and compare. And I did buy just to give you an example, I bought the saltwater crocodile. It's a coin. I'm not talking generic right now.
Okay.
And I bought that for $20.81. That day spot was at $15.51. I go to JM Bullion, it's $21.19. You're like, not a big difference. Yeah, that's cool. It's not. But it is a difference. Atmex was $24.53. Now we're at almost $4 difference. Kitco was out of stock. eBay, forget it, doesn't matter. I only compare eBay when I can't find it anywhere else. So like the Black Horse of Famine, I bought it for $15.57. Everyone was out of stock except for eBay.
Mm-hmm.
I bought it for $15.57. I even called them, and spot that day was $15.37. I called them to give me the rest of your Black Horse of Famine because nobody's selling it.
Mm-hmm.
eBay, the least expensive price I got was $32.50. Now I do have a generic round in here. I said $15.96. Sorry, it was $15.81, and spot that day was $15.96. I went to look at the same generic round that I had. I just put generic silver round in my thing, but I went and looked at the same one. JM Bullion was Atmex was $17.99. You're starting to see bigger differences with, especially if you go into gold now, because you're going to see, like, I bought some gold for 47. It would have been 55 from Atmex. Like I'm saying, that adds up over time when you're buying a lot of it, especially if you're going to see a $5 or $10 or $15 difference. Now I did, so like I said, I bought the Black Horse of Famine for $15.57. I can only find it on eBay for $32.50 that day.
Mm-hmm.
So I paid half the price. Anyone's going to pay, anyone, for that.
Hey, on the chat, people are agreeing that buying on eBay is just a lottery.
Yes.
I would like to bring up a funny comment from Brown. Says, love you, Erin. Been saying for years that the key to silver is and will be the ladies. Ladies talk when they don't. When ladies are into silver more than they are new shoes, look out.
Nope. That's a great point.
Yep.
Exactly. Because this is fun for me. It's exciting. I look forward. It's kind of like I compare it to when you look at network marketing, right? I did Herbalife and Rodan and Fields, and they're both great companies with great products for what, if you need those. We all need silver. I don't always need a shake, and I don't always need to get rid of my wrinkles, right? But I don't ever get excited for my vanilla shake coming in the mail.
Yep.
I get super excited about my silver and gold coming in the mail.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, we're running low on time. So I'm going to ask you for any additional topics that you feel that we need to cover or final thoughts of social media accounts. If you can go ahead and let us know what those are. Of course, we'll have links to Erin's YouTube channel below in the description of this video, and also her website for her 7K business. But go ahead, Erin. Is there anything you'd like to do for final thoughts?
I'm afraid I'll just get scatterbrained if I do that without something structured. But I'll go ahead and give the social media stuff. I am on Facebook, but I hate it. But if you want to find me, it's Erin Lane Moffett. I go by my exact name, Erin Lane, Moffett. I'm on Twitter, and that is Lady Liberty 1313. And right now, I have a nice NPC name. My name is Noelle P. Cerebral. I thought that was really clever. I have two Instagram accounts, and one will be at second SECOND underscore 2TO underscore the number 1. So that's second spelled out underscore 2TO underscore the number 1. And I also have one that is at 7K underscore sister golden hair. Other than that, I don't use a lot of other social media besides the YouTube. My 7K Metals website is very simple. It's 7kmetals.com / Lady Liberty.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for visiting with me tonight. I'd like to say that it's been an absolute pleasure having you. And next week, on the 14th of November at approximately, I think it's 2 o'clock Central, we have Mineko 64 coming in for an interview as well. And I hope that you'll visit us. And Erin, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope that you'll come back for us sometime for another interview.
I would be glad to. This is a lot of fun for me, and I really, really appreciate you guys finding me and everything that you're doing. It means a lot.